you mentioned that you're a creative, and anybody who's watched your work, I think even before being an actor, in whatever that you were doing, like when you're telling the story about the pageant and how you had different people make cardboard things and dress at different, like you're just an artist, you're a creative. So what
Mhm.
does your art say about you? What does it tell us about Terri?
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
I think my art, and I think what art should tell, it is definitely a reflection of you. It's a reflection of really your true self, your soulful self, because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, as we're brought into the world, we're taught all these rules. This is how you behave. This is where you go to church. This is, and we're born into these boxes
Yeah.
that somebody else told us this is how you live.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you're supposed to be. But as artists, and I believe everyone really is an artist, as artists, we tap into what we really feel,
Ooh.
what we really want, what really affects us or challenges us. We create from our soul, from our gut,
Out
and we
of the
do not
inside.
create from what we've been taught.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's weak, it's watered down, it's not, it doesn't excite you. I think if you're watching some piece of art, when you I don't know, when you relate to it or you feel it taps into some kind of emotional thing, then
It
I believe
resonates within
it,
you.
yeah, I feel like that artist came from a place of their soul and not from a place of exterior lessons or teachings,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is the beauty of art.
Yeah. And I think we can again see that throughout your work that we get a piece of your soul. We get a piece of who you are. You mentioned that the sassy attitude got you in trouble growing up. And in some of the characters, we've seen that. We get
Yeah,
to see a little bit of who you are and you get to share that with us and share that with the world.
yeah.
Like it's very beautiful. So you've been in the industry since 1993, am I right? Or is it earlier than that?
That sounds right. That sounds
19
right.
it sounds right. So, in general, what lessons and what challenges have you faced, particularly as a Black female actress and a producer and a director? And what can we learn from that?
Well, definitely this business is just a very challenging business,
Mhm.
It's it no matter really no matter who you are, what color you are, it's a rocky road. It's so many ups and downs. But when you add that you're Black, when you
Yeah.
add that you're a woman,
Hmm.
add all these other aspects of who we are, it makes it that much more challenging. Because it's just not an easy business. And, we're in the business of being told no way more than you're told yes. And we're
Mm.
in a business to where we show up, and like we said, as artists, we show up and we put ourselves in the work. We put our hearts, our souls, our stories, our
Everything.
passions,
Yeah.
our everything, our lessons, our history. We put all of that out there when we're meeting with people or auditioning, and then to be told no, you're not the one, that's a constant blow to your ego, right? And and especially for those of us who respect the craft so much that we study, we're always studying, so it's not like we're trying to just show up and be like, oh, pick me because I'm
Hmm.
cute or I'm whatever.
You
It's like,
actually know
no.
what you're doing.
Exactly. We put in the time, we put in years and years and years and years of work. Whereas somebody like a doctor or something, say they go through school for years and they know they're going to get a job as
Hmm.
a doctor. They know they
Yeah.
are. We put in all this time, all this time, all this work, all this effort, and we don't know, if we'll get the job. And most times we don't get the job.
Hmm.
So for me, there always has to be something more driving you than the fact of, I want to be on TV, so I'm going to study this craft so I can be on TV. It has to be more to it. It has to be, for me, it's a mission, it's a purpose, it's my passion. Because you have to find a reason to keep going.
Yeah, even when it's hard.
Yeah, because it's so hard. It would be easier for me just to stop doing this and go get a really good job, making some really good money. That would be easier than keep putting myself out there, trying to do this, hoping someone gets it, hoping someone gives me that yes. So the mission and purpose that I have is there has to be more of me, people that look like me, that sound like me, that come from my kind of neighborhood. I have to be in it so they can see themselves, because the media is so important. When my little girl turns on the TV, when you turn on the TV, I want you to be able to see something that you can look up to, or something that reflects you, something that speaks the way you speak, somebody that moves the way you move, because otherwise we get caught up in what everybody else does and how everybody else looks, and we think that that's the way.
Yeah.
We're all the way. All of us are the way. And so it's important to me. And that for me, that's what keeps me going. Even though I keep getting all these no's, it keeps me going. And the only way to win and get the yes is to keep going.
Keep going. Yeah. You said something really powerful around like how you're in the business where you get to hear no's more often than you get to say yes. For you personally, and I know you've touched on this a little bit in what you just said, but what holds you, what grounds you, what gives you the drive, what keeps you in because you've been since 1993. It's been a long time. Yeah. So what keeps you in the business? What propels you forward even when times are tough?
Again, I've always had a really good spiritual base. So I think leaning into that a lot. And the other fact for me personally that keeps me going when I want to stop and I'm like, this is not for me. This is, it's not serving me. But I'm like, yeah, it is. You got to keep going. It's because I never pursued to be in this, right? So I feel like God had this plan laid out for me. He put me at Cal State Hayward. He made that guy ask me to be in a pageant. He made
pageant, yes.
Yeah, he made that producer invite me to an audition, something I had never even heard of ever. And he put me in the space with Paul Roach, who developed me as an actor and fed me this business that I love so much, this work I love so much. And so that's what keeps me going. It's like, okay, God, I didn't ask you for this. You gave me.
It's like your aunt chose you. Like your gift called you.
Yeah. It called me. So it has to show up for me at some point. So I have to keep going so I can meet it, so I can meet up with it. That definitely keeps me going. And really, what I said before, you keep me going. My 7-year-old daughter keeps me going. All the girls that I mentor, that is what keeps me going. And that's honest.
That's going to feed into the question that I want to ask you next. And it's around sort of seeing Black people of African descent on screens. Now, I'm South African, and I've watched you in Greenleaf, I've watched you in Soul Food, but seeing you in the Kings of Joburg, I was like, hold up, no, hold up. And it meant a lot to me. So what do you think is the importance of Pan-African collaboration in the film industry? Having Black people from all over the world, not just the US, represent what it means to be Black in different parts of the world as well.
Yes. Oh, that is exactly what I believe. I believe, and even, I just feel like if we're not doing that right now, it's our own fault. Like, what are we doing? It's like, we've grown up growing up here in America, we grow up, like I said, in these boxes, right? Where people are feeding us information that we are just supposed to accept and believe.
Yeah.
But now we have so much access. It's been so much going on in the world worldwide, those of us that are not seeing past that, seeing past the lies that we were taught about ourselves, taught about each other, if we're not seeing past that, something is wrong with us. Because to me, it's crystal clear what has been done to us as Black people overall, wherever we are, in whatever country we're in. There has been a systematic way of teaching us to not connect to each other.
Exactly.
There's a reason for that. And if we don't, acknowledge that and finally get fed up with the lies, basically, the lies that all of us have been taught. All of us Black people have been taught, white people have been taught it about us, Chinese people have been taught, like it's
everywhere,
just been worldwide about us. We gotta know better. And we do if we stop being lazy, because the answers are there. And so for me, it's like, I love you. You represent me. And I love that we're all over the world.
Yeah.
We're in all kinds of countries. And when we tap in and connect with each other, it's a beautiful, beautiful, powerful thing, not just for us. The world doesn't want to say it, but for the world.
Yeah.
It's a healing for the world, because the lies have been so detrimental to just the world being a beautiful space. And, of course, extremely detrimental, literally, to us as Black people. And I just feel like we're our saving graces. And when we connect and we support and love on each other and ride for each other and show up and work together, that's our win right there. And, everyone in the world.
What other choice do we have? Because when you look at Black people's experience, not even just across the world, you look at South Africa, you look at the US, you look at Brazil, we are different in our setting, but we're very similar in our experiences. So we truly have no other choice but just to glue together, to move forward together, to love each other, to help each other, and to represent one another. I'll tell you something very interesting, that when I was watching Kings of Joburg, what was in my head was not whether she's African American or not, and I'm South African. That didn't matter. She looked like me. That's what mattered. That is what mattered. And we underestimate and undermine the importance of that. But I think you are, and many other creatives that you work with, especially, you're opening the door for this Pan-African collaboration, for this Pan-African representation, where you can relate to another Black person living in the Middle East or living in China. So it's really impactful. It makes volumes. It makes really big volumes. Yeah.
I love it. And I think that's our answer. That's our answer for